Okay, so basically Tesla owners can be divided down in two major groups, right? The first group would be typical Tesla owners. They buy a car, they only learn so much about it. That's all they need. They don't care about technical parts. They just want to drive the car like a gas car. They stop learning at one point. And I have seen a lot of people like this, right? My brother who bought just the 2023 Performance Model Y. So just last year I asked him, do you have hardware 3 or hardware 4 for your Tesla? He said that he doesn't know about it. I have to borrow the key from him, run to the car and find out the hardware he has. For example, a lot of people, they don't even know what precondition really means. I have a friend who bought the brand new 2026 Model Y. It was a cold night from a party and they got about going home. I was asking that, have you turned on precondition? They said, don't worry about it. Our car, it takes only a few minutes to be warmed up. We never have to turn on before. They thought they know a lot about their car. They are happy with it. At the same time, I'm sure they will complain or at least wonder that, hey, why my car lose a lot of miles in the cold, for example. They don't understand the difference between preheating their carbon or preheating the battery. Now, the second group of Tesla owners, you can label them as enthusiasts, all right? These people are learning about Tesla technology, Tesla batteries forever. They are excited, everything about Tesla. Those people often talk, often share information with each other. I consider myself that I have becoming more like a Tesla enthusiast. And this is nothing really like wrong or right or bad or good about different EV users. Yeah, majority of the people who just want to pay for the car and drive the car, they only want to know enough. They don't want to deal with complications. And therefore, the previous video of mine, I didn't provide a lot of facts or technical explanations about it. Therefore, this video, I want to particularly concentrate on the technical parts of why plugging in 24/7 ABC is not a smart idea. Okay, welcome back, guys. Hey, last time in my video, I went over the reasons why we unplugged our Tesla. But again, unplugging alone is not the solution, okay? I hope you didn't miss the important section in my previous video, minutes 12:40, that I was giving you the trick how not only that you can save the electric bill, which might not be a lot, for those who have new cars, okay? But for those who have old cars, it can be dramatic. And I know that a lot of people, who cares? So if we can buy a Tesla or multiple Teslas for a total of over $100,000, who cares about electric bill? I understand that, all right? But it was not about high electric bill. We are talking about efficiency. Isn't America all about efficiency? Isn't success actually all about efficiency? Isn't every company out there, every brand new car, including a sporty gas car, beside the effectiveness, efficiency is still the foundation of the car. Even your brand new iPhone, efficiency matters, okay? However, this video, I have been talking about battery health, how you can take back the control of your battery degradation. All right, different ways you charge your Tesla heavily matters, guys. Enough is enough. Remember last time when I mentioned 7 to 20 miles lost per day in energy, okay? By asking you to demonstrate to unplug your Tesla, taking notes and find out, exactly how many miles you lose. Unplugging, okay, not yet mentioning about deep sleep. Okay, when your car is in deep sleep, it's gonna be different. When it's not, that's when phantom drains occurs a lot. Now, when you plug in, you have a lot more than 7 or 20 mile loss in energy. Okay, you don't see it because it's on the wall power. However, let me back off a little bit, especially since we have low power mode. This is important point that I missed in the video previously. After you unplug it, many new cars can go to deep sleeps very easily, but older cars, I'm talking about 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, Model S and Model X especially, my God, you're gonna lose a lot of phantom drains. Now, if you plug in, it can be only more, not less, because of the additional activities on top, all right? So ABC is generally bad for average Tesla owners, like me and perhaps you. Now, at the end of the previous video, I introduced deep sleep practice versus ABC, okay? Again, unplugging alone won't help. Actually, it's even worse. You rather apply ABC if you simply unplug, but then do nothing about it. You just let the car be on its own, then no, it's not what I meant. You have to dismantle most of the features and activities so that the car can be in deep sleeps, especially if your car doesn't have low power mode. The update recently that most of our cars receive, for some reason, my Model X don't have it. Okay, before discussing the damage for your EV batteries, let me give you some data solely about the energy loss and cycling aging for your batteries. Let me give you some facts provided by Gemini AI. The two tables, okay? The actual mile loss, whether they are from your car batteries or electric meters. For example, 2020 and 2025 Model Y. You will see how many miles in energy loss equivalent in 3 different cases. The ABC practice, unplugging, but the car is awake because you do nothing, and the deep sleep practice. As you see, if you turn on Sentry mode, it can be 30 miles on the 2020, and if the car is newer, 18 miles in energy loss per day. Now, even when you unplug and have Sentry mode off, you still lose from 8 to 12 miles, and I think these numbers are conservative. Compared with deep sleep practice, you lose only 1 or 2 miles. Okay, now for the Model S, it's even horrible. Model S and Model X, you see that even when you turn the Sentry mode off, it's still 12 to 18 miles in energy loss. And the below here, the 2020 for deep sleep practice, 5-mile loss. I think this number is wrong because I have Model S. It has only 3-mile loss per, not really per day, okay, but per deep sleep cycle, okay. For 2025 is little less. So from here you can tell why I have been really campaigning for hibernation, convincing everyone to practice hibernation for your cars. And these two tables are for 2020 and newer. Alright, imagine that you have older cars. My Model Y is only like a few years old, so I know the difference very well, while I have some models older than 2020. Think, even when you don't like my approach, when you are at work for 9 hours long, when the car has to park in the cold, what should you do then? You leave it on? Come on, let's try it. At least with the 9 hours that your car has to be unplugged anyway. So just try it and you will see, you will love it. Trust me. Next topic, I want to talk a little bit about battery degradation. Okay, battery degradation happens generally by 2 main categories. First, you talk about cycling aging. Okay, cycling aging is what I actually have been talking entirely about in my first video, which includes the unnecessary and necessary activities. The more battery is going to discharge and then being charged, discharge, being charged, the cycling aging will only increase, okay? And the second category for your battery degradation is calendar aging. Okay, calendar aging is like battery stress, but in a passive form. There are two types of battery stress though. When you drive and you speed up a lot, or you climb up a hilly road, you're creating battery stress as well. The temperature, the high voltage gonna increase, battery stress increases. But here I'm talking about the passive battery stress. You charge up to 80%, but then you don't drive and you let it sit. Calendar aging will occur only faster. Another example is just general heat. Temperature outdoor is like 110 degrees Fahrenheit, and you let the car sit on the street to the extreme sun exposure. Such heat will also be the big factor for calendar aging. And you plug in 24/7, okay? BMS will keep the battery warm all the time. That is stress as well, temperature, heat. So my deep sleep idea, deep sleep practice for your daily driving EVs will shut down all of this stress, almost like totally eliminate cycling aging as well as calendar aging. Okay, so that's why scientifically, deep sleep is almost like the only way I can only think of. Now, the next section I want to talk about is section C, cycling. Or daily speaking, you call it charging. You know, how many ways a battery from an EV or a Tesla can be charged. Let me talk from worst to bad. Okay, the worst way that you charge your Tesla, as everybody know, that I don't really have to talk about it, but I have to bring it up. Like, it's called deep cycling or full cycling. You are talking about charging from 0% or 3-5% to 100%. And this is the worst, right? Every expert, every Tesla owner knows that it is bad. Okay, there's nothing to talk about. Now, the second way that we have been advised is so-called extended cycling, charging from 20 to 80%. All right, I will make a video about this. For now, let's say it's neutral, it's okay, it's the most popular advice. And I don't want to talk about if this is a bad idea or a good idea, okay? Because I will have a video about this as a Tesla Protestant, by the way. So, and the third way, perhaps you will rarely hear this, we call shallow cycling. Shallow cycling is when you charge your Tesla, not only that the charging section is short, but it's also within the mid-range. Although we have rarely heard of, this is the best charging practice. What we rarely do, because who have time to charge only 40 to 50% and then you stop. Actually, I will have a topic about this shallow charging as well. Unfortunately, remember the term shallow charging? All of the engineers will agree with you on this, that this is the best method of charging our EV in general, or Tesla in particular. The last method, to me, okay, is also bad. Not worse, but very bad. That is the ABC charging. ABC charging, which is always be charging your Tesla. Meaning when you driving home, you plug it in, you top it up in only an hour or two to your maximum setting, which is 80% or 90%. Why ABC is bad? In my first video, as I explained, right? When you're reaching up to 80% or 90%, after only a few hours, you came home from work. From that on, until the next day, next morning, you drive, all right, for more than 14 hours long. The car will be sitting at high SOC. We call high state of charge. That's why this is bad. Sometimes, you know what, I rather charge, from 7% to 100%, but then I drive the car right away. I don't charge it again. That actually is even healthier. Then you plug it in, you always be charging your Tesla to 80%, but then you let it sit for 14 hours, 16 hours long at 90%, 80%. The contradiction is that the same guy, the same expert, at the end of the video advised that, you don't want to let your car sit at high state of charge from 80% to 100% is all bad. How can that happen? They are actually contradicted with each other, because when you plug in all the times, when you always be charging your Tesla will always be sitting at high stage of charge, period. So to recap this subject, first is the full deep cycling, from 0% to 100%, the worst. The second one, which is more popular, it's called extended cycling, 20 to 80%. And the next one, shallow charging. You top up from 40 to 60, or 50 to 60, or 60 to 70. This is the best method. Unfortunately, we just don't have time to do this. And the last, also bad practice, that is ABC. Or you can call ABC as mini or micro cycling. Because what ABC does is topping up 0.5%. 80%, an hour or an hour and a half later, it go down to 79.5%. It kicks in, it tops up your car. Every week, you can have hundreds of micro cycling. Now, there is another term you want to be careful, okay? We want to avoid cycles, okay? You don't want to call it shallow charging cycles or 20 to 80% charging cycle, because cycle scientifically is from 0 to 100% as one cycle. I have been mentioning about cycling, okay? I have not mentioned at all cycles, okay? Because charging cycles and cycling are two different things. So I know a lot of people use it alternatively, 20 to 80% charging cycle, but technically it should be 20 to 80% charging section or cycling. For example, a long-range Tesla can have up to 1,500 charging cycles as its battery lifespan. Of course, it can be charged more than that or less than that. It depends on how you treat the battery during its lifetime. So out of these different methods for charging a Tesla, you can tell why I have made these two videos, okay? Okay, I am backing down, and my deep sleep philosophy might not fit those who drive a lot. I'm talking about 200 miles per day or more, okay? Sorry, you have to plug in daily. Second thing, I have to talk about extreme weather. The exception that, yes, you have to plug in your car, ABC, always be charging your car when the temperature is too extreme, negative 10 degree Fahrenheit or lower, or positive 110 degree Fahrenheit and higher. This is when I'm surrender. Okay, go ahead, plug in the car, because the battery management will help out with this extreme weather. But any cold weather actually is helpful. It's better when you practice deep sleeps, because ABC plugging in 24/7, you are actually swimming against the stream unnecessarily. You will keep the battery warm against 35 or 30 degree Fahrenheit unnecessarily. You create a lot of waste. Now, when you talk about the extreme weather, you have to only be careful with the term called lithium plating. Okay, lithium plating is when your car is from cold soak. Lithium plating, which is the irreversible damage, because cold weather will make the ions in the battery becomes very lazy. They don't want to be so active. Chemical reactions very slow. So when you plug in, you supercharge your car without having preconditioned your car before, you will cause lithium plating. Okay, the ions not having rooms to go into the battery cell, so it's gonna be staying on the surface of the cells and cause blockage, that in the future when you plug in again, those cells won't be able to receive ions no more. You will see the sudden drop in your battery degradation Just because unintentionally you have a few events happening because you charge in the cold weather without paying attention or with precondition that cause troubles for your battery. Don't always believe that your BMS is so smart, because what are you talking about? The old BMS 2014, 15 or 17 Model S, or are you talking about like 2026 BMS? What kind of BMS that you can totally trust? So helping BMS a little bit, I know that the BMS should do this job, but again, we are talking about different ages, we are talking about different models, and we haven't even talked about different car brands. How smart are they? That's the question. One of the new concern is the preconditioning, all right? A lot of people say that, hey, but if you don't plug in your car 24/7, in the morning, you have to spend more time for precondition. So it's not really like, but no. I have found that when you plug in your car, when you practice ABC, in the morning you have to precondition your car anyway. That's true that you might take less time for preconditioning the car, like 12 minutes maybe, while if I don't plug in the entire day and night, I have to precondition my car for 15 minutes long. But the difference is what? 3 minutes difference. It's not even like a mile lost in energy. Although I believe ABC practice is bad, or it might be right for a lot of people who drives a lot, who have security concern and so forth. And I respect that. My next topic would be deep sleep protocol. Let me give you the list of deep sleep practice. Okay, so in order for you to have only a few miles lost in energy per deep sleep cycle, here I'm giving you the list of features and activities that you want to play around with, alright? From my experience, you want to start out with summon standby, carbon overheat protection, and sentry mode, alright? Also, number 8, you want to stop checking the apps and open doors often, okay? So basically, number 1, 2, 4, and 8 are almost like the must that you have to turn them off, okay? With the newer years, if they have low power mode from one of the previous updates, alright, you might not have to turn number 3, 5, number 6 off. Different models, different years, you don't have a clue, alright? They behave very differently. For number 7, you know what? I have stopped using scheduled precondition, but you have to experiment this yourself to see which works for you, okay? I can only share my experience. For example, for my Model S and Model 3, alright, they both are the same year, same age. Model 3 behaves a lot better. It's confusing, and if you have low power mode, the deep sleep practice works quite easily for you, alright. My Model Y, which is only like a few years old, I can have 7 days long in deep sleep when I don't use it. And it is a record breaking, okay? Not every time you're gonna have what you want. Sometimes the car wakes up a few days, or even like 1 day. My Model Y is the newest car out of my collection. So, by allowing your car to be in hibernation status, the method will almost completely eliminate the so-called vampire drains. Okay, I will have a video topic about the difference between vampire drains and phantom drains. Sounds familiar to all of us, alright? But they are actually technically different. Please don't worry if you don't understand all of it. I will have more videos to come to help. A good news for you in cold weather is stop charging versus unplugging. From the first video, I have been saying unplugging. That is one way, but in cold weather, okay, I have recently found a convenient way. After dismantling Sentry mode and the features, okay, you can just put a stop charging from your app, but you don't have to unplug. That is one of the way that I recently demonstrated when you want to practice deep sleep philosophy for your cars in cold weather. When you ask every AI platform, they all will answer that putting a stop on the charger won't allow the car to be in any true deep sleeps. You're gonna keep the car awake.
However, I didn't listen. I demonstrated myself. I found that actually that's not quite true. Okay. Now, although this is my successful demonstration, you want to find out how long the car can be in deep sleep. That's another matter. Okay. I will continue to keep you posted on this. But so far, it looks like it's working well. So let's say in the morning in cold weather, you can just manually precondition your car from your own comfort home without running to the car and plugging in like what I have done before for months. Okay. Having said that, you can still plug in your Tesla after every drive, just like what you have been doing. All right. But then whenever you want your car to have deep sleeps, you can put a stop on the charger from the app. All right. Again, this is only for cold weather, okay? Meaning during warm weather, you just simply unplug your Tesla totally because you don't have to precondition your cars anymore. It's more convenient when you plug in your car only twice a week.
Okay, so my conclusion, okay, part 1 video, I show you why we want to unplug our cars and the problems, energy waste constantly, at the same time with the constant stress for your battery and battery degradation for your car. I also introduced the deep sleep practice, so the trick that we can avoid all of those concerns. And today I just show you the science, cycling aging, calendar aging, lithium plating, section C, cycling. How many ways a battery from an EV or a Tesla can be charged. So unplugging for deep sleeps is more about efficiency, battery longevity, and you know what? It's also convenient that I don't have to plug in twice a day, but just twice a week. Plug in with a purpose, not the habit. Thanks for watching both of my videos. Give me comments, because even if they have to be negative, I'm happy to learn from those experts, because you always learn more in any argument, okay? Learning and helping each other, helping the community. Give me some likes or subscribe as the encouragement, okay? Thank you.